All right. First and foremost, I want to give our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashing Yahudah, Bashing Kakodash. I want to give double honor to our apostles, James Well. And a peace, blessing, salutation to the hopeful elect. Consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians. This is Shakaka Rob from James, Virginia, here to bring you the latest news article, prophecy, through the spirit of Yahweh, Bashing Yahushua. Those will be edified. Now, I'm going to bounce around on chat. I'm going to weaponization of rap music, and I'm gonna ask about reggaeton. I had this article pulled up, but it kind of faded away. I guess if you don't use Chat GPT and the window closes, it basically goes blank. But I'm gonna see what it says on this one. So I put in Chat GPT. You gotta remember, you know, the wiles of the devil, Isaiah 47, the witchcraft, the sorcery, the accuser of our brethren. You gotta remember, Esau's the fugitive. The so-called white man's a fugitive, and he paints everybody else to be the fugitive. So everybody don't look his way, and everybody can pretty much paint the picture that we are the problem of the earth. But we're truly indeed the real Hebrew Israelites, and the reason why this has become us, and the this bad stigma, reproach, byword has come upon us is because we're in captivity. Thus it was prophesied for this to happen to our people. So the fact that you know Esau, the Amalek, the fake Jews, they got the power system to pretty much remain in the dark, remain silent, enact evil, be the true wicked, the Satan, and have everybody else look as the bad guy, as he showed you right there, that they got the power and they're not cursed because pretty much how you say it, that the scriptures, the biblical prophecy don't line up with them. And ultimately, them being in the land just states and shows you that they're not the people, because it tells you Yahweh Shah is going to lead, starting with the elect, the Israelites back into that land. So how rap music has become weaponized, it says that's a really insightful question and a big one. The idea that rap music has become weaponized can mean a few different things depending on context, politically, socially, legally, and culturally. Here's a breakdown of how that's happened over time. You got to remember, during slavery and Esau destroying us, conquering us, and having us submit to him and bow down unto him. He pretty much cut off all angles of us ever coming back together as a nation, a people, and rebelling and going against him. So one thing for certain is he destroyed our image. Image is very important. So one, weaponized by the legal system. Perhaps the most literal and troubling sense of weaponization is how rap lyrics are used as evidence in criminal cases. So prosecutors have cited rap lyrics in trials to suggest that defendants are violent or involved in criminal activity. That's why you got to know about slavery. One thing, Esau tried to somewhat have constitutions, whatnot, and decrees, but Esau allowed gray areas and loopholes and ways to justify Jake to being a criminal to put his ass back in slavery. This practice often targets Black and Latino artists. That's not a coincidence. Why? Because here it is. You have you know you got, for some reason, one point in life, the terrorists were so-called Arabs, but now all of a sudden they're just regular, I guess, regular people. They're able to build up mosque and have their little communities here, and it's not a problem. You're not seeing them. You're not seeing ICE in their neighborhoods, and I wonder why. But for some reason, Blacks and Latinos are the problems, and ultimately, you never seen Blacks and Latinos cause any terroristic threats or has towards America. If anything, you can see how so-called Latinos and blacks and Latinos have been a great help, not a great help, but made a big contribution to this society. So let me get that real quick. Judah. So Joshua 50, 30, and 34. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were together. Because you got to remember, after King Solomon, Rehoboam and Jeroboam, the kingdom split. And ultimately, we have been together beneath the rule, the reign of King Solomon. You know, eventually went into captivity first, and then eventually Southern Kingdom, and we've been split. It's Northern Kingdom going to the Assyrian captivity, and Southern Kingdom going to the Babylonian captivity. And every once in a while, you had Northern Kingdom sprinkled amongst Southern Kingdom. You can read about Tobit, the book of Tobit, how Tobit was of Northern Kingdom, but he made sure that he went up to Jerusalem, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. 34, their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause that he may give rest to the land and describe the inhabitants of Babylon. So, eventually we understand that America is going to destroy Babylon, aka known as Babylon the Great. And the Lord is going to redeem the elect out of this place. He's going to bring back the true inhabitants of that land. So going back, it says, yep, this practice often targets Black Latino artists for reinforcing stereotypes about criminality. Scholars and legal advocates argue this violates free expression. No one uses heavy metal or film scripts in court, yet rap lyrics are often treated as confessions rather than art. So let me see. 2, weaponizing media and politics. Rap has also been used as a cultural scapegoat. Since the 1980s, politicians and media figures have blamed rap for youth violence, misogyny, or moral decay. And when you go back to the rulers and the owners of rap music, it's the so-called U's, the so-called JEWs. During the war on drugs era, rap was framed as promoting criminal lifestyles rather than reflecting the conditions of over-policed communities. And this is a lot of things that Esau wants to swipe and get underneath the rug. We all had that whistleblower, I think Gary Owens, if I'm not mistaken, that they pretty much put down, made take a dirt nap. Um, what the, oh yeah. So Luke 12, Luke 12 and 2. So Luke 12 and 2, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Thereof, because during the 1980s, 1990s, the early 2000s, where this knowledge wasn't really out there like that. Esau was able to do his dirt and thought he was going to clean. Basically, he thought nobody saw him. But hey, like the scripture said, the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, and He sees all things. And Esau didn't consider. So there, 3, therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear and closet shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. And this is why, the things that Esau did in dark secrecy, they thought he got away. It's coming back to it basically coming back to haunt him. And this is why ultimately, this information era, social media, and internet has been, a gift and a curse to Esau. So let me see. This framing helped justify tough on crime policies that disproportionately affected young Black men, the same demographic that birthed hip hop. It's another I'm gonna just keep going. Let me see what it says. Three, weaponized by the industry. Record labels and streaming platforms sometimes exploit violent imagery or street authenticity to market artists. Violence and conflict can drive streams, attention, and profits. Beef between rappers, often amplified online, Vlad TV, Adam 22, and there's many more, can become literal. And it's mighty funny that every rapper that goes viral that gets some type of credibility, for some reason he has to be affiliated with some type of gang, and I find that very funny. And we all know those gangs go, they work with the feds and the FBI. The top leaders of those gangs, majority of times are Masonic leaders. So with in this sense, corporate forces weaponize rap's cultural energy to sell products, even when it harms the artists or their communities. For weaponized by artists as resistance. On the flip side, rap itself has always been a weapon of resistance. Artists from Public Enemy, I don't know why it says Kendrick Lamar, have used lyrics to critique racism, police brutality, and inequality in global context. Let me see. Rap become a political weapon for truth telling and empowerment. So while rap has been weaponized against people, it also remains a tool for liberation. Which it started off like that, and the other one I had up. As a matter of fact, this what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back. Let me see. I'm gonna bring up another one. Let me see what this says right here, how rap is weaponized. I'm gonna just put it in the regular. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Hold on. How rap is weaponized against blacks. That's what I had against blacks. Jones wants to take police out of our schools. SROs, school resource officers. I think the goal for a lot of us is to make sure we have as few SROs. All right. How rap is weaponized against blacks. It says that's in let me see. Let me go down. I drive. You help people customize and save with Liberty Mutual. Drives boosted for Mako stains. It's cleaner, whiter, brighter, and fresher. All right, so I'm gonna read a little bit in this one, but that's an important complex topic, and one that has been discussed by scholars, artists, and activists for decades. The idea that rap music has been weaponized against black communities refers to how institutions like the media, the criminal justice system, and the music industry have often used rap in ways that harm or misrepresent black people, even though rap itself was born as a form of self-expression, resistance, and truth-telling. Here are some of the key ways this weaponization happens. So, criminalization of rap lyrics. Um, Let me see. Rap lyrics are used as evidence in court, with something almost never done with other genres. Media framing and moral panic. The media has often focused on violent or gangster rap to portray black communities as dangerous, and this is one of the reasons why our image is messed up. Let me get that real quick. And again, this is all things that we fell for because we thought we were one with the society. Rap, that music, entertainment, media, all has been infiltrated by Amalek. So Ecclesiastes 7:1, a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's. So ultimately, our image has been tainted. Our name has been tainted as a nation of people. And this is why ultimately us being on the highways and the byways proclaiming that we are the true children of Israel, everybody, pretty much think that we're lying or we're just some angry niggas because that's been our image and what has been depicted on about us on TV, is pretty much they try to shape it all as we're just some dangerous black niggas. So in the 1990s, mainstream outlets amplified fear of rap rather than exploring its social commentary. Meanwhile, white rock or country songs about violence or rebellion were treated as an art or storytelling. The selective framing helped justify racialized policing and surveillance of young black men. Exploitation by the music industry. This is number three. Major record labels often profit from negative stereotypes. The so-called black woman being whores, twerking, shaking her ass, whoredom, and then the so-called black man being a basically like acting as if he's a wild bull in the net, prioritizing songs about drugs, violence, or hypersexuality because they sell. And let me see what the let's look up. I'm gonna ask Chat again, my man Chat. What is hold on, what is hypersexuality? Yeah, and hypersexuality is a term used to describe a pattern of unusually high or excessive sexual thoughts, urges, or behaviors that can cause distress or interfere with daily life. And see, this is why, you know, when you go back into all the laws about, family, order, structure, our women being wives and our men being husbands, it's just been tainted because what Esau pushed all on the media. Again, they showed the pimp culture going into the black exploitation era, and then they showed the pimping and the whores, and the fast, the fancy clothing, and if you go back to the old black exploitation era, it depicted a woman as whores and sluts and pretty much naive and stupid, and men are just some sexual and devious, unbridled lust niggas that just they screw women, leave them, screw women and leave them, pimp on women and leave them, beat them up and talk to them any type of way, you know. And this is that media has been a great tool, witchcraft, sorcery that has destroyed our people. So it says it's sometimes referred to as compulsive sexual behavior, and this is why ultimately the so-called black woman is a sexual deviant, just like even going back to slavery. So this is why out of all the nations in the world, you go to different places. When you come to America, the so-called black man, all he thinks about is just sex. Like for instance, that notion when a lot of times when the so-called black woman used to get on comedy or on TV or a rapper, right off top Trina. She always talk about, oh man, gotta have a third leg, a big schlong, a big rod, or else you're no good. You know, and then what does men say? Oh, the big booty, the twerk, juvenile, back that ass up. It's just a big nasty. It's just an orgy, and that's what Esau has used rap and the media for to turn our people out, sexual addiction or out of control sexual behavior. And this is why adultery runs rampant. One thing also in the R&B music, which was heavy, a weapon in itself, you know, um, spells and witchcraft, and adultery. Um, the first words on the song now is "I'll fuck your bitch" or "I'll fuck your wife," or you know. So it says, though the exact terminology can vary depending on the context and the mental health professional. So let me see. I'm gonna try to go through. People experience hypersexuality may spend excessive time thinking about sex or engaging in sexual activities, masturbation, pornography use, multiple sexual partners. Um, Feel unable to control these urges despite negative consequences, relationship problems, work disruption, financial or legal issues. And this is all going on amongst Jake. Use sexual activity as a way to cope with stress. You see, a lot of times, a lot of these babies and children that has been brought in this world amongst Jake is due, it wasn't because of love or you're married, or the families come together, and when you bring this child in the world, it's going to be reared up to be a great a Hebrew Israelite that's going to serve Yahweh Hashem Rashah, and be a good use for the nation. No, 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 no. These kids today are born off of drug activity, stress. Hey, I'm gonna continue saying. I'm gonna continue reading on. So it say, this is people experience hypersexuality may use sexual activity as a way to cope with stress, loneliness, anxiety, or depression, feel guilt, shame, or distress about their sexual behavior. So, possible causes: hypersexuality can be influenced by several factors, including neurobiological factors, changes in brain chemistry, which our people have been, reward systems, or impulse control, psychological factors, trauma, anxiety, depression, or other mental health conditions, and our people are suffering from more. Substance use, drugs, alcohol that lower inhibition or alter dopamine activity. Um, Let me see. So that's pretty much it. Um, so going back, weaponization of rap music. So um, three, exploitation by the music industry. Major record labels often profit from negative stereotypes, prioritizing songs about drugs, violence, or hypersexuality because they sell. That doesn't mean those songs aren't valid forms of expression. But when the industry filters when what gets promoted, it shapes public perception of black life. Um, and best believe, the proper way in marriage and lawful things was not promoted. The most raunchiest, the most wickedest, and the evil message was pushed through. The economic structure means that black artists produce culture, while white executives and corporations control the profits and narratives. So let me see: political manipulation and discrediting. Politicians have historically used rap as a scapegoat to justify punitive policies. In the 1990s, both Republicans and Democrats used fear of gangster rap to push tough on crime agendas. Artists like Tupac, a CIA agent, NWA, CIA agent, and Ice-T, CIA agent, because now all of a sudden he's a New York detective, were accused of promoting violence, even though their music often describes systemic violence, because they were all CIA operatives. Five, surveillance and policing of artists. The FBI and local police have monitored and investigated rap artists and labels. One thing for certain, this is why they have a big prison system, and it's very lucrative. Under the guise of anti-gang efforts, the hip-hop police units in cities like New York track rappers, movements, and associates. The mirror historical surveillance of black activists like the Black Panther. So, six, cultural misappropriation. As rap became mainstream, non-black artists and corporations often co-opted, stripping away its political and cultural context while black creators face censorship or criminalization. So the result is a two-tier system. Black rappers are punished for content that white performers can imitate without consequence. And let me. This is it's not. When I looked it up the other day, it actually shows you how blacks and Latinos created it, and it said it was a tool at first to talk about the oppression and the poverty of so-called blacks and Latinos. But I'm gonna see what my man chat says about this one. What? Let me see something. How reggaeton has been weaponized against Latinos. Let me see what it says. Oh man, so let me so and it's a okay, I'm gonna just read it. So how reggaeton has been weaponized against Latinos. That's a powerful and complex question, and one that's been discussed increasingly in Latinx studies, cultural criticism, and music sociology. The idea that reggaeton has been weaponized against Latinos refer to how a genre born from marginalized Afro Latino, Caribbean, and working class communities have been exploited, sanitized, or stereotyped in ways that harm rather than uplift the people who created it. So it says here's a breakdown. One, criminalization of black and working class Latinidad. Reggaeton was born in Panama and Puerto Rico from black and poor communities, rooted in reggae and Espanol, hip hop, and dancehall. Early 1990s, Puerto Rican authorities raided underground clubs and confiscated mixtapes, framing reggaeton as a delinquent or criminal. The genre's association with blackness and poverty made it an easy target for moral panic, reinforcing racist and classist stereotypes about dangerous Latino youth. This criminalization sent a clear message: black and working class Latin culture was undesirable. Cultural exploitation and whitening. Once reggaeton became commercially profitable, major labels distanced it from its Afro Caribbean roots and promoted lighter skinned or more marketable artists. Afro Latino pioneers like DJ Playero, and they put in their work. And I know about these guys. DJ Playero, Tego Calderon, or Evie Queen were often sidelined as the genre globalized. This whitewashing mirrors broader Latin America media dynamics, where blackness is erased to appeal to mainstream or global markets. The resort reggaeton success story is told without honoring the people who built it, a form of cultural theft dressed as representation. Three, sexualization and gender politics. Reggaeton has been used to reinforce stereotypes of Latinos as hypersexual or morally corrupt, especially in U.S. media portrayals. And this is another reason why, the so-called white people look at so-called Latinos and Hispanics as a moral problem. Because one thing reggaeton and Hispanic music pushes is also the drug culture, the gangster, etc. Music videos and lyrics are often taken out of cultural context to present Latinos as primitive or overly sensual. At the same time, the genre's hypermasculinity has been used internally to marginalize women and queer artists, reinforcing patriarchal norms within Latinx culture itself. Let me see. So while reggaeton has empowered some artists, it's also been turned into a tool to police Latino identity. So let me see. For global commodification and cultural erasure. E- e- Fuck it. When reggaeton crossed over globally through artists like Daddy Yankee, J Balvin, Bad Bunny, corporate media reframed it as a new Latin pop, stripping away its social and political origins. Meaning, basically, I'm gonna tell you, I don't. If anybody know about the Looney Tune era, you know what I'm talking about. But this new reggaeton today is very mo activity, has a lot of mo activity in it, and it's Esau was able to those what is it, those musical executives use reggaeton just like they use rap music, and put and basically they demonized it. And one thing for certain, when you go into I remember seeing old videos about the Illuminati amongst reggaeton in Espanol, and I remember how would you call it, when you're going back to the old Daddy Yankee albums, they had the Illuminati, the triangle, and all that, the devil horns, etc. The the pioneers of reggaeton, had a lot of Masonic symbols in it. And you can look it up. So the sound became a branding tool for Latin culture and marketing, tourism, and streaming algorithms. Meanwhile, the communities that birthed it still face economic hardship and systemic racism. Their culture generating billions without redistributing wealth or recognition. In this sense, reggaeton becomes a weapon of soft power, a sanitized Latin identity used to sell products, not to change inequity. So let me see. So and just like I said, you pretty much get the point. How music, the media, it portrays our people as criminals and justify, in brutality, um, racism, and it's mighty funny again. So-called blacks, Latinos, Native American, West Indians, and even they uh, uh, reggae music was cultural. So more how you say cultural. You know, they talk about what is it, the Bible more, and now they switched it up to pasa pasa, hypersexuality, and the gangster, especially now. You had with the pasa pasa, you had a dance hall, you have all types of different genres, even amongst reggae music. But everything changed, to the gangster, the straight criminalization, the basically Esau is justified, and when he makes these legislations and against our people. It tells you in the scriptures that this devil lays snares and traps for our people, and this is what he has constantly been doing. And the prophets are out there to warn our people. The scripture says Isaiah 5:51, 58 and 1. Tell my people their wickedness, and go out there on the highways and the byways and proclaim it. Proclaim this truth to my people. But I'm gonna go and wrap this thing up. Those who use edified, with them say shalom.